by the power of Grayskull.
What if I told you that one of the most iconic kids shows of the 80s had scenes so inappropriate, so bizarre, and so wildly tone-deaf, they would never make it past the first draft in today's world? Yep, I'm talking about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. A show known for its ripped heroes, corny morals, and unforgettable theme song. But underneath all that, there are moments that make you stop, rewind, and ask, wait, did that really just happen on a kids show? So get ready, because today we're diving into 3 He-Man moments that should have never been allowed on TV. And trust me, number 1 will straight up ruin your childhood. And don't forget, you can grab your own He-Man DVD using the link in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, let me know in the comments which moment shocked you the most. And if you want to see more videos like this, consider showing some love with a super thanks. Let's keep it going.
The same fate awaits all who stand in my way, especially He-Man. Now, here is what we will do.
Okay, first up, we're diving into an episode that honestly feels like a punchline that got way out of hand. The episode is called Fisto's Forest, and if you've never seen it, buckle in, because this is the moment He-Man unintentionally walked into full-blown adult humor territory. And somehow, nobody pulled the emergency brake. So, on paper, this sounds like a classic fantasy image. He-Man travels to a mysterious part of Eternia and meets a grizzled warrior who lives in solitude. This guy's got a tragic backstory, a hidden heart of gold, and a unique weapon that makes him unforgettable. A little Robin Hood, a little Wolverine, a sprinkle of medieval tough guy energy. Cool, right? Then, they drop the name, Fisto. Yup, that's it. Just Fisto. Let that marinate for a second. This is a show aimed at children who are still learning to spell. And here comes a fully grown man stomping through the forest with a giant metal glove, loudly introduced as Fisto. And no, it's not some quick background joke. Fisto is a major character. They say his name a lot, like way too much.
By the power of the spell. I command this tree to entrap my enemies.
Fisto has the strongest hand in all of Eternia. Fisto, use your fist. His power lies in his mighty fist. Sir, please. There are Capri Suns being opened during this scene. It's one thing to accidentally write a line that can be taken the wrong way. It's another thing to name a dude Fisto and then fill the entire episode with dialogue that feels ripped straight from a fan-made parody. And just to make things even worse, Fisto's only weapon is a massive, silver, glowing metal fist. Like, not a gauntlet or a glove. No! A whole power fist that smashes through boulders, doors, and presumably any attempt at subtlety, and yet they play it completely straight. He's introduced as this gruff forest dweller who used to work for Skeletor before seeing the light. He saves a child, joins the heroic warriors, and earns He-Man's trust. At the end of the episode, He-Man literally says, "I'm proud to call you my friend, Fisto." Are you though? Because I'm not sure I could say that sentence with a straight face. And here's where things get even weirder. Fisto didn't fade into obscurity. Nope. Fans loved him. He got his own toy line, multiple appearances in later episodes, and even a rebooted version in He-Man and the Masters of the Universe 2002. And yes, they still called him Fisto. There are entire online forums dedicated to this one character. People make memes, remix his lines, and collect unofficial figures titled Adult Fisto Edition. That's a real thing. Search it at your own risk. Listen, I'm not trying to make fun of the animators or act like everything should have been PG sterilized.
You'll find out soon enough. Once you are my prisoners as well.
It was the 80s. Things slipped through. But come on, Fisto? There is no universe where a group of grown adults sat around a storyboard table, wrote Fisto in the script, paired it with a glowing hand of destruction, and didn't think, you know what? Maybe we change the name. But apparently, they didn't. He made it to air multiple times. And the only people more confused than the kids watching were the parents who had to explain this when their kid ran into the kitchen screaming, "Mom, look, I drew Fisto using his giant fist." This wasn't just a poorly named one-off. This was a recurring character, an icon, a meme, a walking HR violation. And the wildest part? Nobody seems mad about it. Because nostalgia is powerful, and let's face it, as ridiculous as he is, Fisto is also kind of awesome. But if you thought the name Fisto was bad, just wait until He-Man turns into a full-blown drug addiction interventionist, complete with twitching hands, psychological breakdowns, and a king spiraling into full-on fantasy rehab mode. Alright, this next one feels like the animators took a very special episode of an after-school drama and just shoved it straight into He-Man, without warning, without explanation, and without the emotional support we all desperately needed afterward. The episode's called The Remedy, and at first, it seems like a classic fantasy setup. A noble king is sick, deathly ill, and He-Man, being the ever-muscled hero that he is, offers to help find a magical cure. Cue the epic quest music. Cue the side characters saying things like, "Only you, He-Man, can brave the darkness to save the king."
The fever is worse. He doesn't know what he's saying. We're losing him.
Try not to worry, Mitro. My father and Prince Adam will find a cure.
Totally normal stuff, right? But then, things take a hard left, like off a cliff. The so-called remedy they're searching for turns out to be this glowing emerald green liquid tucked away in a creepy cave that literally oozes danger. It's not stored in a sacred temple or guarded by wise elders. Nope. It's in a glowing flask surrounded by creepy rocks, red mist, and weird sounds. Like, this thing screams, "Do not drink me." But desperate times, right? So He-Man brings it back, and the minute the king takes a single sip, he becomes completely obsessed. Not, "Oh wow, this is helpful" obsessed, more like full-blown fiending.
I owe my life to you, He-Man, and to all of you, and Duncan, about your lost invention.
He starts trembling, shaking. He refuses to eat. He gets paranoid and lashes out at his most loyal guards. His eyes go wide, his voice becomes unhinged. And when He-Man gently tries to intervene, like, "Hey, Your Majesty, maybe sip some water and chill," the king screams at him, "I need it! I can't live without it!" Bruh, this isn't just dramatic, this is textbook addiction spiral on He-Man, a show best known for battle cats and toy merchandising. And then Skeletor shows up, and even Skeletor, a literal cackling skeleton who launches energy blasts from his staff, looks disturbed by the king's meltdown. Like, Skeletor's face doesn't even move, and yet somehow you can tell he's like, "Yo, this wasn't in the script." And when Skeletor's the voice of reason, you know something has gone terribly, terribly wrong.
I win, He-Man! Your sorceress is trapped inside the Dragon Pearl. Her power is now mine!
The king keeps using the potion. He becomes emaciated, delusional. He's seen stumbling through the palace, clutching the flask like Gollum chasing the One Ring. He mumbles about how no one understands and starts accusing people of trying to steal it. Finally, his body gives out. He collapses. He starts convulsing. His pupils shrink. Foam appears at the corner of his mouth. And then, he just stops moving. He-Man rushes to his side. Dramatic music swells. The camera lingers on his fallen body. You're watching this scene unfold and thinking, did this show just depict an overdose in a cartoon about action figures? And here's the kicker. This was not some weird editing mistake or a misinterpreted metaphor. The writers and producers literally confirmed that this episode was meant to be a cautionary tale about addiction. They knew what they were doing. They wanted kids to walk away from this episode understanding the dangers of dependency, but also wanted them to keep buying playsets and glow-in-the-dark swords. And it gets even darker. There are actual storyboard panels, later leaked online, that show the king seizing violently before blacking out entirely. That part got cut from the final edit because the censors said, "You're going too far." But what did make it in, still unbelievably bleak.
I hope the rest of you will leave the moon in peace.
Forget it, He-Man!
This episode doesn't end with a cute animal or a morale lesson about teamwork. It ends with He-Man cradling the fallen king, delivering a soft-spoken monologue that sounds more like something you'd hear in The Wire than on Saturday morning television. He looks directly at the king and says, "Real strength doesn't come from potions. It comes from within." The king, now weak and remorseful, nods in shame. He's lost everything: his health, his respect, his grip on reality. And that's it. The screen fades to black. No jokes, no punchline, just a slow, heavy exit that leaves you emotionally winded. Then, just to twist the dagger, they hit you with a PSA at the end. Prince Adam pops up on screen, cheerful music playing, and says something like, "Hey kids, if someone ever offers you a shortcut to feeling better, remember, it might not be worth the cost." Bro, I just wanted to watch a guy with a laser sword punch a robot. What is this emotional damage? And to make it even more bizarre, this episode aired right in the middle of the season, not as a finale or special. It was sandwiched between an episode about flying unicorns and another one about time travel hijinks. Imagine being a kid in 1985, sitting on the floor with your bowl of cereal, watching the Smurfs, then flipping over to He-Man and getting hit with a full-on anti-drug intervention. No warning, no support group, just trauma. But if you thought that episode went too far, if you thought addiction and withdrawal metaphors were the darkest thing He-Man could throw at a child audience, just wait. Because up next is the episode that crosses a line so suggestive, so awkward, so painfully grown up that it still gets flagged in fan forums to this day. Alright, you ready for this? Because the next moment isn't violent. It's not creepy. It's not even disturbing in the traditional sense. It's something way worse. It's awkward, uncomfortable, and straight up accidentally sexy. Yep, we're talking about the episode Orko's Missing Magic.
Miggle, maggle, muggle, mice, Mr. Globes now arise!
Really wonderful, Orko. You think we could see it again?
My magic! It won't work! It's gone!
Now, this episode starts out completely normal. Orko, He-Man's floating comic relief wizard who looks like a talking hat, is having a magical identity crisis. He's lost his powers, lost his confidence, and decides to go off on a solo mission to recover his magic. Harmless enough, right? What could possibly go wrong? About halfway through the episode, Orko enters this misty, dimly lit lair to retrieve a magical orb, and that's when the entire vibe of the show just changes. Suddenly, the lighting shifts from Saturday morning bright to late night Cinemax after dark. Purple fog, slow pans, ambient music. You don't know whether to expect a wizard battle or Barry White to start singing. And then, she appears. Enter Dree Elle, a female magical being who, in most episodes, is just Orko's quirky girlfriend. But in this scene, she's transformed. I don't know if the animators were working through some things that week, but suddenly she's lying sideways on a floating bed, draped in silky fabric, staring at Orko with heavy-lidded eyes and speaking in a low, breathy voice. She purrs, literally purrs, and beckons Orko closer, saying, "Come here, little wizard. I have something for you. Ma'am, there are children in the room." She then slowly pulls out a glowing orb, cradles it between her hands, and says, "Touch it, and you'll feel pleasure beyond your wildest dreams."
And now for my grand finale. I call my latest trick, eggs over easy.
Excuse me, what? This is He-Man, not Red Shoe Diaries. Even Orko looks shocked, and keep in mind, this dude doesn't have a visible face. Yet somehow, through body language alone, you can see the absolute panic in his floating little soul. His hands start shaking. He backs up nervously. He stammers like someone who just walked into the wrong section of a video store in 1994. The whole thing feels so wildly inappropriate, it almost plays like a parody. Like, you expect the camera to zoom out and reveal that it's a dream sequence or a trick or literally anything else. But nope, it's real. It happened, it aired, and it made it onto all the at-home videos with 0 edits. The animation team later claimed this scene was supposed to feel ethereal and mysterious. But let's be honest, between the tone of voice, the dim lighting, the seductive posing, and the lines being delivered like they came straight from an adult film script, it feels like a mistake that just kept going. And let's not forget, this was supposed to be an episode about Orko learning self-confidence. Instead, we got magic orb foreplay. Even Dree Elle's body movements are way more fluid than usual. Like someone turned the frame rate up and told the animators, "Hey, just pretend you're animating Jessica Rabbit with elf ears." The whole sequence lasts less than a minute, but it leaves a lifetime of emotional confusion. And here's where it gets even weirder. This was not an isolated moment.
Through the power of stone by the mystical glass, let the magic within now into me pass.
It wasn't part of a weird dream. It wasn't a spell. This was just how they chose to write this scene. Kids were watching this while eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and suddenly they're learning about desire and hesitation through a floating red hat and his magical, sultry girlfriend. To this day, fans post about this scene in Reddit threads and forums with titles like, "Was Orko's girlfriend trying to seduce him? The scene in He-Man that made me feel dirty and I don't know why. What was that?" Some even refer to it as the hot orb scene, which, I mean, it's pretty accurate. It's so infamous, it often makes fan rankings of the most uncomfortable cartoon scenes of all time, right up there with Pepe Le Pew's canceled dating strategy and whatever the heck was going on with Ren and Stimpy's log sawing episode. And yet, this scene was never censored, never pulled from reruns, never even addressed by the network. It just exists. Forever. So if you ever catch someone saying, "Cartoons used to be so wholesome," just cue up Orko's missing magic, fast forward to this scene, and watch their face melt into pure discomfort. But while that scene might have made you shift uncomfortably in your seat, the next one, the bonus moment, it goes way deeper, because in that episode, He-Man isn't awkward or confused. He's broken. He thinks he killed someone, and it might just be the darkest thing to ever air in a show built to sell plastic swords. Okay, here's a bonus. This one deserves its own spotlight. The Problem with Power is hands down the most psychologically intense episode of the entire series. In it, Skeletor pulls the ultimate fake out. He creates a scenario where it looks like He-Man's incredible strength accidentally killed a bystander.
Duncan's laser could make butter out of those rocks, but the laser might penetrate the lair, and there might be lots of rock people in there who could get hurt.
He-Man throws a piece of debris during battle and sees a man fall. No time to save him, just silence. You can feel the air leave the scene. The music cuts. He-Man looks crushed. I didn't mean to. I never wanted to hurt anyone. For the first time ever, He-Man quits. He throws down his sword, declares he's not worthy, says he'll never transform again. Prince Adam is broken. He even tells the sorceress, "I'd rather be powerless forever than risk hurting someone again." That line right there, that's not Saturday morning cartoon energy. That's existential dread. That's PTSD. That's what happens when power goes too far. Of course, by the end of the episode, the sorceress helps uncover the truth. It was a trick. The man didn't die, but the damage is done. He-Man had to face the terrifying idea that he could hurt the very people he swore to protect. It's an episode that hits way harder as an adult, and it's one of the few times a cartoon character looked into the metaphorical mirror and didn't like what he saw. He-Man was supposed to be a symbol of courage, strength, and doing the right thing, but as you just saw, sometimes that strength came wrapped in some seriously questionable content, from adult jokes and drug allegories to suggestive scenes and full-on moral crises. This wasn't just a cartoon, it was a landmine of WTF moments that somehow made it past censors and onto our TV screens. Which one shocked you the most? Drop it in the comments. I'll read every single one. And if you want more videos like this, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and tap that super thanks to support the channel. Want to relive these insane episodes for yourself? Check the description for the link to the He-Man DVD set. Just don't blame me if you never look at Fisto the same way again. See you next time.